Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle, and in tonight's video, we're going to go over the Cam Akers Achilles tear. It's not looking great. He's going to miss the entire season. We're going to talk about the backups there and what this means for the Rams offense, and then we're just going to answer a bunch of questions from the chat room. We'll kind of just look at whatever pops up, whatever you guys got on your mind. So fire away any questions you might have. We're going to get to it. We got one here from SportsDog1000 right away, and it's about the Cam Akers stuff. So before we start to answer some of the Darrell Henderson stuff, that's going to be the primary ball carrier for the Rams. This really sucks for Cam Akers. He was I'm going to pull up the ADP here. I think he was a top 15 pick at the moment. We're going to go to Fantasy Pros and look at their consensus here. But man, all of a sudden, Cam Akers. If we go to PPR here. Before the day, he's already starting to slide. He kind of removed him from the board, but he was a top 15 pick. He was going as like the RB9, RB10 at the earliest. I've seen Cam Akers go in the top 10 of drafts, and all of a sudden, that's going to just open things up for our guy Darrell Henderson here, and they are likely to sign another running back, but I just want to kind of show you guys what I have entered in for my projections for now. Maybe they sign a running back by the end of the week. I really don't know who they're looking at. The popular choice is going to be Todd Gurley, of course, just he's familiar with the Rams scheme and what they want to do here. But for now, what I have done is I kind of gave Darrell Henderson the majority of the Cam Akers workload. I just scaled it back just a little bit. So I have Henderson going over 200 carries, flirting with 1,000 yards, and getting 36 catches, almost 300 yards receiving, 8 total touchdowns. And I think that made him RB21 or RB22. But just look at the depth. Some of the names on the depth chart here. It gets pretty weak for the Rams after Darrell Henderson. You got Xavier Jones, Jake Funk, who they drafted in the 7th round. And I left a room open here for a free agent running back. Now, whether that is Duke Johnson, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, as Justin here says, Le'Veon Bell going to the Rams. They're going to sign somebody, whether it's this week or maybe in a week or so, maybe tomorrow, who knows. But so for now, it's hard to gauge Darrell Henderson's value. It really depends on who they sign. It could be Adrian Peterson. Let me just type in free agent running backs. I just want to see who's all available out there. I know some of the names were like Frank Gore, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, Duke Johnson, TJ Yeldon still floating around, but Deion Lewis, Chris Thompson, LaShawn McCoy, Alfred Morris. There's a handful of backs here, so one of them will get signed as a camp body and flirt with the number 2 spot here. But what does this mean for the Rams? I think the less Cam Akers, they're probably I lifted Matt Stafford's projections a little bit. I think I gave him 15 to 20 more passing attempts. So that's going to, if you just look at the Rams offense as a whole, I think you're going to really like Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp that much more. Again, just looking at the offense from a whole, Matt Stafford, he's going to get the ball to Akers, to Woods, to Cooper Kupp. You're going to remove Cam Akers, and to me, that's just going to lift Woods and Kupp as the best 2 players on the team to own, making Darrell Henderson probably the 3rd best option, and then maybe Tyler Higbee as the 4. So I really like what this does for Woods and Kupp the most. And then if we go look at my running back numbers here, let's see. Darrell Henderson comes in at running back 21. He's a 4th round pick for me. He's right around Josh Jacobs, Myles Gaskin, Miles Sanders. So he's in that 4th round tier. But for me, if you guys have been watching my videos, we kind of like to get the wide receivers in this range of running back. So let me just kind of read this question here from Sports Dog. So he says, Cam tearing his Achilles. Why can't I see that? So Cam tearing his Achilles means I'll be putting Darrell Henderson up as his replacement. Where do you think he will be drafted? In the mid-20s? Is Henderson a capable full-season starter? So the thing with Henderson is we've never really gotten a full workload season from him. Again, they drafted him in the 3rd round in 2019, and then in 2020, they immediately take Cam Akers in the 2nd round. So there might have been some doubts from him in his rookie season. So we're kind of getting, his hand forced here. I don't think he's going to be a running back 1 this season, but if you like him, to me, he's going to look best as your running back 3. And again, he's going to be somewhere in the high 20s for running backs, or I guess low 20s. So RB20, RB21, RB22, somewhere in that 4th round is likely where you have to spend a pick on him. Now, he is a really good pass catcher. You see the 9 yards per catch here, 9.3, 9.9. He caught a touchdown last year, 16 of 24 targets, almost 160 yards just through the air. But it was pretty spotty for the most part. It's just the whole Rams backfield was just hit or miss. It was kind of like a whack-a-mole, if you will, whether it was Malcolm Brown or Henderson or Akers at the end of the season. So there is some exciting, skill sets here. At the beginning of the year, he, 12 carries, 20, 15, 14, 15. He can be an effective runner. It's just going to be, I think, all coming back to the passing stats for me. So if you want Darrell Henderson as your RB2, I get it. It's probably a 4th round pick. He looks great in the 5th round. But if I'm getting Darrell Henderson on my team, I want him as my RB3. One of my first flexes or one of the first running backs I call up from the bench. And again, if you're drafting today, it's hard to gauge Darrell Henderson. He's going to be, again, a 4th or 5th round pick. Some people I've seen have pushed him into the 3rd round, but I'm not interested in that yet. It really depends on who they bring in as the backup running back. And going off of last year, this was a 3-way committee. Henderson couldn't really even beat Malcolm Brown out for some of the passing game work and some of the goal line work. So Henderson's kind of just who they're left with, and they're going to add some competition and go from there. They did draft a 7th round running back this year too. So super interesting to see what the Rams do. If anything, this just pushes me more towards Stafford, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp. I think those are your targets. Especially, if you're up in the 4th round and you have the opportunity to take Cooper Kupp or Darrell Henderson, and it's PPR, give me Cooper Kupp all day long. So I think that just solidifies my priorities for drafting the Rams offense. So we can discuss the Rams a little bit more if you guys want. Otherwise, any other questions you guys might have, maybe should we hop in a mock draft here? I don't know. Maybe something kind of just give us a little bit of I guess balance here for the league. So let's just go to mock draft here, and we'll just kind of hop in one real quickly, and we'll see what we can talk about. Pro head-to-head mock. It starts at 540. Whatever. It'll just take the spot. We're gonna go spot 10. Sweet. That one's. We are missing out here. Having trouble. So that one filled up. Let's try to get one more here. But anyways, if you guys have any questions on things, I did update my rankings on the website today. Again, the Cam Akers news kind of shifts things a lot. And if anything, it makes that 2nd round pretty interesting because Cam Akers he was a consensus top 12 running back for the most part. So now we're looking at some other players in our range here. Why can't I log in here? There we go. All right, we're going to draft in the 4th spot here. It's going to start any second. But just looking at my rankings, let me go back here. I think I had Cam Akers as my RB15. So if you were watching my stuff, we weren't very high on him anyways. And all of a sudden, where am I going to the draft kit here? We'll just pull up these rankings, the running back rankings. So if anything, this just helps, make our decision a little bit easier. If you're at the back end of the 1st round, whether you're liking Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson, just kind of helps those guys become RB1s for me. Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all good round 2 options as well. So we're just going to enter this draft here, and we'll kind of maybe we'll just do like the first handful of picks. Seems to be auto drafted a lot lately. Let me see what Sports Dog's got on here. So we heard the Packers offered Rodgers a 2-year extension that would have made him the highest QB in the NFL. He said no to the deal. So it's not about the money. Do you think he will play this year? So basically for Rodgers, it's coming down to he probably did request a trade at some point, around the draft time when Schefter discussed that. But at this point in the season, we're a week away from training camp. The probability that he gets traded to a new team, the Packers are standing pretty hard on their stance of not wanting to trade him. So I'm going to rule out the Aaron Rodgers trade for this year. I'd give it maybe a 4% chance or 5% chance of something like that happening. I do think it's likely that Rodgers plays for the Packers for just one more season, and then we go through all this next year with a team looking for Rodgers in a trade. Or he could potentially just sit out this entire season and just wait for next year. So I think of the 3 options, one being Rodgers being traded this season before the season starts, I think that's the least likely. I do think he's more likely to play. I don't think he wants to waste a season. He still has he's expressed his love for his teammates and his coaching staff. So this is something between him and the front office and them kind of just ignoring him and not really trusting him to be included in decisions. So I think Rodgers is likely to play this year for the Packers. 2022, though, I would bet good money that he's playing elsewhere for sure. And the Packers do have an out in his contract, so we're going to probably see it. Teams are probably going to trade for Rodgers, or Rodgers is going to get released. So that's what we're going to be dealing with next offseason. So just as a Packer fan, it does suck, but The other thing too is the Packers were willing to stand pat this year. They must have something that they like in Jordan Love, and it's just going to be an interesting week coming up, especially if Rodgers shows up tonight for the Bucs game. That's going to be pretty telling for me. So can the Rams trade for J-Rob? This is an interesting option too. I've thought about a bunch of names that the Rams could trade for, and some of the guys that basically you're looking for guys that are on either 1-year deals or really cheap free agent running backs. You think about James Robinson getting out of Jacksonville. Jacksonville's already got Travis Etienne and Carlos Hyde and a couple other guys that can be scat backs. So it does make sense for the Rams to maybe trade for a running back. I think some other names that interest me, Melvin Gordon. They could lift Melvin Gordon off the Broncos for pretty cheap. You can also lift like a Sony Michel, a couple other aging veterans that probably need a new home. Let me just scroll down the list here. I thought of Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette being moved from Tampa Bay. You got some other names here, like who could be traded for? I'm thinking of like third running backs in the system. Maybe Salvin Ahmed from Miami. Some names like that. So you're looking at potentially trading for a guy, but I mean, it'd be interesting. I think that'd be cool. And yeah, Kelsey at the 4th overall here. Where did he go? Where is Kelsey? I saw him here as the 4th over. Oh, I have all positions checked. I don't know. They must have updated their projections. This is a PPR league, so I don't know why he got lifted so high. But 308 points for a PPR league. That means he's scoring as much as Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams. So no idea why. Should I take Kelsey at 4? Probably not. I would rather take a running back here. So if we just stick to my board, let me see the running backs real quick. I mean, I got Kamara number 3, Henry number 4, Barkley number 5. I was watching my guy Justin's got a new YouTube channel here. We're going to take Derrick Henry, but the second take extra, I was watching you guys, and you guys talked about Saquon Barkley, which I think is a really interesting topic to discuss because he's going to play this year. He's going to play week 1, I would imagine. He's going to be really held up and slow through training camp, though. They're not trying to push him back. If anything, he's going to be they're probably going to limit his touches to start the season. So he's still going to be Saquon Barkley. They're just going to kind of ease him into the regular season, whether that's a split committee role with Devontae Booker remains to be seen. But it's they're going to play it safe with their best player on their team. Again, they're kind of playing the long game with Saquon Barkley. He's been injured the last 2 years. They just want to make sure he's healthy. So I can see Saquon potentially being a little, held back the first week or two, but slowly ramped up and then returning to his Saquon Barkley duties by, at least the end of September. So I guess if you're drafting in the top 5, if that doesn't bother you, Saquon maybe being, suppressed the first week or two, continue drafting Saquon. Otherwise, Cook, Henry, Kamara. I love Ezekiel Elliott. Those guys are all pretty solid options. So, but anyways, I'm just trying to think of what else I have new on the website for you guys. And if you haven't seen, I pumped out some quick videos last night. We got some new free content on the website as well. I kind of just talked up my draft values that I see. I kind of want to add one more. The guy in the thumbnail for tonight's video, Lamar Jackson. And again, I have Aaron Rodgers in here because if he does play, he technically is a really big value for the Packers this year. Let me see what Sports Dog's got. With Lombardi on the coaching staff, I doubt we'll have to wait very long for him to get a backup running back. Yeah, I think they're probably going to do their due diligence the next couple of days and maybe sign someone before the end of the weekend. There are a couple teams reporting to camps this week. I think it's Dallas and I can't remember whoever the playing game is between. I think it's Dallas and another team escapes my mind. But they have basically to the end of the week. I know Todd Gurley kind of did his visits a month ago trying to hang out with teams. I know he's been working out. I've seen some Instagram videos of Todd Gurley working out. So Gurley makes sense. Le'Veon Bell makes a lot of sense. LaShawn McCoy, some of these aging backs, Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, I could see any of those guys working out for the Rams. But again, I think Darrell Henderson, who knows what to expect from him. I just want to see, I'm sure ESPN's updated his numbers. They got Cam Akers out of here. So they have Darrell Henderson right now as the 39th best player on the board, which puts him at the beginning of the 4th round. So I'm probably not going to draft too many Darrell Henderson shares, especially if I can get if you want a Ram, go get the Robert Woods, get the Cooper Kupp. We're going to trust the passing game just a little bit more because we've seen those players perform well. So we're kind of moving through I didn't expect to do a mock draft today, so this is kind of fun. It's kind of good to see the reaction to Cam Akers and the ADP and whatnot. But after we took Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Travis Kelce, there's Devontae Adams, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire sneaking into the 111. You got Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley. Clyde Edwards-Helaire popping into the top 11, which is super interesting. He's not really a consensus. He's not even a top 24 pick at the moment. And I just want to see where they have Darrell Henderson going in this league. Do they still have Cam Akers on this list? Let me see. So yeah, Darrell Henderson's going to be, he's down here on the list. So they just simply removed Cam Akers and they didn't really adjust yet. So that'll update eventually. But we're almost up to pick here at the beginning of the second round. If you, again, basically, if you have a top 5 pick, you're kind of doing the same strategy as everybody in that round. You're going to grab a running back in the first round, and then you just got to wait and see what value comes to us. If you like Joe Mixon as your running back too, I think that makes a lot of sense. Najee Harris as our running back too would be sweet. And we're guaranteed, I guess we get Najee Harris as our running back too. Otherwise, we're looking at DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson. So we have the decision here to either draft a stud wide receiver or take Najee Harris. Man, we can get Derrick Henry and Najee Harris. That's probably almost 600 total touches between the two running backs. So we're going to do a double RB start here. This has kind of been the prototypical draft that we've been looking at. So this is the Derrick Henry and Najee Harris. I don't think I've had those guys teamed up on the same team together. So that's pretty cool. But again, this is your guys' show. Whatever questions you guys have, you guys have projection questions or any specific teams or strategy questions, fire up the questions. Got the projections in front of me. I do want to say thank you to everybody too. We just passed 250 subscribers on the YouTube machine. So we're going places. We'll see, I guess, probably 500 would be the next kind of milestone there. So thank you to everybody that has subscribed and continued to subscribe. But anyways, we're almost up to pick. It's round 3. After we take Najee Harris, that's DK Metcalf, that's DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson sneaking into the end of the second, AJ Brown, Jefferson, Michael Thomas. So we're up to pick with guys like Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins. This one's tough. I like George Kittle. I like George Kittle quite a bit. We got about 20 seconds to make the pick. Did Darren Waller? Yeah, Darren Waller went 2-7. Jesus. At this point, I'm having a tough time making tiebreakers. So let's try a George Kittle draft here in the third round. George Kittle, one of the consensus top 3 tight ends. This could be a really easy draft strategy to kind of duplicate too. If you want to start, if you're a top 5 pick, you're going to get a running back, and then George Kittle or Darren Waller, whoever falls to you. And then at this point, like we're set on running back. We maybe just need 1 or 2 more quality backup guys. And then we're just going to hammer receivers the rest of the draft. That's probably my favorite strategy at the moment. But we got some time to wait on the picks. But man, Darrell Henderson. We'll see where Darrell Henderson goes in this mock draft. Just want to get filtered by running back. So ESPN's like they got him as the 39th best player on the board. I'm probably not going to take him in this range, guys. There's a lot of other, especially, I mean, up next to David Montgomery, I'm taking Montgomery. I'm taking Lamb. I'm taking Deontay, maybe even some of these receivers down here. For sure, Cooper Kupp, Lockett, Godwin. I'm taking a lot of these receivers over Henderson. And yeah, Kittle, man. The fun part about San Francisco players is we still don't know who the quarterback is going to be. I think it sounds like they're holding out hope that Trey Lance could be the starter for week 1. So that's going to be an exciting, fun battle to watch the training camp stuff go on. But with George Kittle, it's kind of stealing candy from a baby, I think, in the third round. If you miss on Kelce, you miss on Waller, Kittle's your guy, round 3. And the problem with round 3 is there's a lot of running backs that like have questions. Josh Jacobs went in the third round of this one. But I mean, Terry McLaurin, I love Terry McLaurin. I love Allen Robinson. I like Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper. I have a hard time deciding between McLaurin, Robinson. I like Michael Thomas quite a bit. So he's a third round lock for me. Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. If they get to me in the third round, I'm taking them. But where we were at, McLaurin, some of the running backs, nothing really stuck out, where George Kittle was probably the biggest difference maker, amongst the next guy behind him. So you think Najee has that much upside instead of waiting for Mike Davis, Henderson, or Rojo? I have no questions about Najee Harris. With Mike Davis, I mean, he kind of like he's playing for Atlanta. We don't know what they're going to do with their new offensive coordinator and their new head coach. And I don't think he's not really the best player on their team at the moment right now. And with Mike Davis, how old is Mike Davis? He's up there in age. We haven't really seen Mike Davis play, awesome football for a full season. So he is currently age 28. So you're buying a 28, year old running back. If I want to draft Mike Davis, I like him as my running back number 3, I think. But we're on the clock here. Let me make this pick. So we get our first wide receiver off the board here. I've been talking Cooper Kupp up all night. I'm going to draft Cooper Kupp here. I think this is the move if you want to get someone from the Rams offense. That's probably the guy to buy. Get Woods or Cooper Kupp in the 4th round. And yeah, that is the only problem with the Pittsburgh offense is it is going to be a weaker offensive line than we've seen in the past. So the thing though is with Najee Harris as my running back number 2, we're locking in a guy that's probably going to rush the ball almost 270, 280 times. He's going to be their leading pass catcher as well. So I think his PPR floor every week is going to help them. And Pittsburgh's, they want to run the ball with him. Ben's aging. They're going to try to force the issue. So I think at that point, I'm taking the volume there, and we're going to see how it rolls out. But we're up to pick again in the 5th round. We got Henry, Harris, Kupp, and Kittle. If we wanted to get that running back 3 off the board, ETN's an interesting guy. Kareem Hunt. These guys are both PPR RB2 flexes material here. We can maybe wait a little bit longer too. So I don't mind that. I do like the receivers here, whether that's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Maybe we get one of those guys here. With the gun to my head, I'm just going to take Jamar Chase. We're going to get another rookie on the team. And I do have Jamar Chase as he's going to be a top 25 receiver. I have Jamar Chase as my 25th receiver off the board. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. We waited for receiver. We get Kupp and Chase, both potential leaders for their team in yards. So I like what we got going on there. And then, yeah, the Pittsburgh offensive line. But if we look last year, let me just pull up, let's see here. We'll go to stats. Or maybe we'll go to ESPN. Let's look at some stats. So we know Pittsburgh's offensive line's not going to be as good as it was last season, but I still think the way that team is built with a good defense, they're going to try to establish the run, and Najee Harris is just such a good bruising back that he's going to handle the ball 25 times a game, whether that's 20 carries and 5 catches. But I just think with an aging Ben, a really good defense, they're going to lean on the 1st-round pick of their team. So let's see. I'm just curious how much they ran for last season. Rushing yards per game, Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, they were like, they were dead last in yards per game last year. That's with James Conner and Benny Snell. So it's only up from here, I would suppose. Let me take a look here at the Steelers. I'm curious how many times they threw the ball to the running backs. Where are we in the draft? So last season, between the 4 or 5 running backs that they had here, they had 60 total catches to the running backs, and James Conner's out of so we're just gonna pencil in Najee Harris for these 35 catches, maybe even 40. I would expect Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland to not get as much work in the passing game. And then if you just give, just imagine if we just give between Conner and Benny Snell, that's 280 carries. We're probably going to give most of that to Najee Harris as well. So you're looking again, and just from the volume studies that we've done on the show, we want guys that are going to get the ball. So that's the only reason why I like Najee Harris. But we're up to pick again here. We could take another receiver. The top receivers on the board, Laviska and Robbie Anderson. Who are the running backs? A lot of receivers sitting at the top. There's your Mike Davis. We could get a Mike Davis here as our flex option. I'm going to go with Robbie, and we'll go with Laviska Shenault. Let me see what we got here. And yeah, that's the one thing. He's got a bunch of receptions built into him. And just from Josh Jacobs was able to be a top 10 running back last year. There was a handful of other running backs that just got so much volume that it eventually just wins out. And who knows, maybe the Pittsburgh offense gels and they're able to get a good running game going this year. But I think especially in round 2, if we go back and look to see who we could have had, there's kind of a big drop-off after Najee Harris at that point. I mean, DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson, we don't know what we're getting. In hindsight, I probably should have drafted a DK Metcalf, and A.J. Brown, and Justin Jefferson. I think that does make sense. So I like your thinking here. I mean, I would have preferred Joe Mixon for sure as my running back too. I think I have him a few spots ahead. But anyways, we're up to pick here in the 7th round. You got Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, George Kittle, Laviska Shenault. You got Mike Davis chilling here. You got a couple other running backs on the board. Davis, Robinson, Harris. We'll take a flyer on Mike Davis here. I like your thinking here. He's going to be our running back 3. We don't have a lot of need for him to be a starter for us, but if things break up for one of the other running backs or the other flex guy that we have there, we got depth. If you watch my shows, I'm going to make sure that you guys get it ingrained in your head that depth might be the most important thing on draft day. So I like getting a really good starting lineup, but I think usually whoever has the strongest bench on draft day, that's the team that usually is going to go the farthest. So that's one thing that I'm very in tune with, and I want to make sure you guys get a good bench for your season. I'm just kind of looking ahead here. We'll probably hang out for a few more picks. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ring them out. But after these next couple picks, we're going to probably be redundant with some things. But running backs available entering the 7th or 8th round that I like: Damian Harris, Leonard Fournette, Zach Moss. Kenyon Drake's interesting. We expect the Raiders to maybe throw the ball a little bit more this year. If you watch my shows, you know we love James Conner in the Kenyon Drake role out there in Arizona. It's a fun offense to be drafted into. Ronald Jones is an interesting guy. I still think he's going to lead the Buccaneers in carries. And then even later, if you want, Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, the 2 rookie running backs, those are tremendous options that could help you get to the fantasy championship and through your playoffs. So we're coming on deck here. I'm just looking ahead at quarterback right now. We don't have a quarterback 1 yet. Tannehill, Burrow, Hurts, Stafford. I don't mind waiting here. I think maybe we'll play the Stafford gamble here and see if we can get him at pick 100. Looking at the receivers real quick. Someone took Michael Gallup ahead of us, but Waddle. The receivers don't really stick out to me yet. I think I'm almost better off getting a running back here. Damian Harris. I'm gonna snag James Conner just because he's really high in my rankings. I think he's RB24 or RB25, and that just the upside of him sitting on our bench and maybe getting 9-10 touchdowns. So he is my RB25, and then we're gonna snag a quarterback here. I think that's kind of where the value is going. So I'm just going to grab Matt Stafford here. We talked that up. Again, the Cam Akers injury makes me think they're going to pass the ball a little bit more. Probably, if that's the thing too. I wish ESPN had some more customizable settings. For the majority of leagues that I play 2 running back, 2 receiver, and 2 flexes. So it is an advantage because you could legit start 4 running backs. So snagging more running backs earlier is kind of my preferred advantage. But I guess in this 3 wide receiver, 1 flex league, are you still starting 2 running backs? Or do you just have the opportunity to do 1? Or is it a 2-3-1 situation? I'm curious. And again, I should have looked at my rankings real quick before we made that pick. But we are up to pick again. I'm going to make, let's look at the running backs. Backup tight end. I don't know if we need a backup tight end quite yet. Wide receiver, nobody's really sticking out. I like Darnell Mooney quite a bit. Elijah Moore is fun. We have 3 solid ones. Let me see if there's any more running backs. I'm going to draft Trey Sermon here, the rookie running back. So yeah, in your situation then, so you only have to start 2 running backs. It makes more sense to stack the receivers and get those starting receivers filled out. So I agree with you. What do we got from Sports Dog? If so, is he a decent receiver out of the backfield? Getting a starter in the 5th or 6th round is a steal. I'd draft him in the mid-rounds. Mike Davis, man, he was a beast last year for filling in for Christian McCaffrey, if you guys remember. We'll pull up his numbers in a sec. I'm just going to pick, why not? Let's have some fun with this. We can draft Trevor Lawrence here. I love getting Kirk Cousins or Ryan Fitzpatrick, backup tight end, Ebron, Ingram. We're kind of heavy into the Rams offense right now. Let's just grab a favorite receiver here. I'm interested in let's grab Darnell Mooney for the Bears. If it's Fields or Dalton, I think he can have a nice season. Doesn't really matter who it is. But Mike Davis, he was a league-winning running back last year, and I actually wrote about him on the fantasyfellowship.com. He's a great 5th, 6th round pick, and I think in ESPN people are a little bit slower on him. But last year, career high year, he averaged almost 14 PPR points per game. And you see some of the numbers here. He has a floor of about eight points. He didn't go lower than 8 points in any game that he started. And again, he ended up with 59 catches, 373 yards, only 6.3 yards per catch, but that's fine if you're racking up that many catches. And then he was fine on the ground. It's just we don't know how much workload he can handle. Again, he's a 28-year-old running back, former fourth-round pick there. He's short and stocky, so he can hold up. It's just a matter of him having enough juice. But I just remember it kind of fell off towards the end of the season. But man, you're getting a guy that they can lean on to catch the ball. You look at earlier in the season when he was averaging 15, 23, 22, 29, 13, and then you just see a little bit of a stagnation here in the numbers. So I'm interested in Mike Davis. I just can't guarantee that he's going to produce like that all season long for us. We're up to pick again here. Who's our backup quarterback? Sure. 5 seconds. We'll just grab a receiver real quick. We'll take Russell Gage for the Atlanta Falcons. Russell Gage is a sweet pick. If you guys want another Falcon option to look at, Russell Gage is going to be the second or third leading receiver on that team. He had over 100 targets last season. He caught 72 for 786 and 4 touchdowns. And a PPR standpoint, that was 11 points per game. Not exactly super consistent, but he did get more consistent towards the end of the year when Julio Jones left the lineup. Let me see back to backup quarterbacks here. I'm just going to take Kirk Cousins. He's been my favorite quarterback too. And then at this point, the draft is pretty much stretched. So if you guys get any more questions, fire them away. I'll probably sign off in a couple minutes here. We got a Milwaukee Bucks potential championship victory tonight. So I'm going to be getting real fired up and hanging out. But I don't know. I want to thank you guys for hanging out in this mock draft, asking questions situation. I feel pretty good about this lineup. Matt Stafford, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, George Kittle, Laviska Shenault, and then we have a ton of flexes that we can plug in, whether that's Mike Davis, James Conner, Trey Sermon, the rookie running back for the Niners, Darnell Mooney. Don't sleep on Darnell Mooney. Check out his numbers from last year, and then just consider the quarterback upgrade, whether it's Dalton or our guy Justin Fields, and then Kirk Cousins to finish the draft. But I don't know, man. We're gonna see. I think it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be pretty high energy there tonight. But I just want a good game. I want a good game, and we'll see what happens. But the last walk-off pick here, I'm not gonna pick defense or kicker. Let me just kind of go to all positions here. Sterling Shepard's interesting. Devontae Booker. Tyler Higbee. A lot of people like Adam Troutman as a deep sleeper here for backup tight ends. Cole Kmet, Jared Cook, Sports Dog. Our guy Sports Dog really likes the Jared Cook. I like Blake Jarwin, Anthony Ferkser. There's just so many good options for a backup tight end. I'm gonna go. Let's go with Jared Cook. Let's see what happens. He's gonna be the #1 tight end for the Chargers, and we'll play it from there. But that's going to do it for this mock draft. I think I'm going to sign off here too. So I just want to say thank you. We're up to pick. Let me just make the damn pick. Saints D, Packers D, Dolphins D. I don't care. Give me the Vikings D. We'll see what happens. And then kicker. But that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I think I'll do a live stream either tomorrow night or Thursday. I still haven't decided what the video is going to be. But yeah, old man Cook. Hunter Henry had a top 12 season last year, and Jared Cook, all he does is catch touchdowns, as we've seen throughout the last few years of his career. So I'm into Jared Cook as your tight end #2. And I don't know. That's going to do it for tonight's video, though. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.